Hi, everyone. Welcome to the State College Area School District Professional Development Training. My name is David Visnosky, along with Justin Hetrick, Evan Cox, and Trevor Foltz. During this presentation, if everyone would please mute your mics, that would be greatly appreciated. At the end of the presentation, we'll be happy to take all your questions. Also, in between sections, we'll take questions from you in regards to that specific question. During this professional development training, we'll be covering the following topics today: the new classroom technology, Google Meet, printing changes this school year, Zoom, Google Jamboard, and GoGuardian. During the presentation, please feel free to follow along if you're in your classroom and try out what we're presenting. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat, and other technicians will assist with questions during the presentation. At the end of the section that we're on, we'll be happy to answer any questions related to that section that you may encounter. This year, we will be installing webcams across the district. The webcams are currently located in the middle schools and portions of the high school. We plan to have webcams installed throughout the district once they have been received. The webcams are primarily being used for showing anything to remote students that isn't a screen share in a Google Meet or Zoom. This would include classroom activities such as experiments, read alouds, watching a lecture, etc. This would not include Google Slides, YouTube videos that would be used as a screen share in Google Meet or Zoom and then projected to your screen and to the remote students. You want to treat the webcam as it's a student in your classroom. You want to point the webcam where you want the students to see. If presenting on the whiteboard and using the webcam, you may need to dim the lights to cut down the glare for the remote students. Example of one of the webcams that we've installed throughout the district. This webcam is installed on a tripod that can be easily set up, the feet extended, and set up in your classroom, and for you to point at what you want to look at. And then also, in some of the classrooms, you may have noticed is that we have a PVC tripod set up that is basically the same thing that allows you to move the tripod wherever you want the students to see. The webcams are just a basic webcam that have a standard USB connection that you'll connect into your dongle that you have with your MacBook. This is an example of one of the dongles that we have. If you have one of the new MacBooks, you have one of these new dongles which has 4 ports on them. You have an HDMI port for your projector, a USB port that's going to be used for the webcam, and also a power port that's part of this dongle. In order to use this dongle, you will want to plug in the power to the port and then plug in the webcam to get enough power to the webcam to use. The other example, we have another example of a StarTech dongle, which is the bigger white dongles or gray dongles that you won't be able to plug in power and you don't need to use the webcam. Could you show us what a StarTech dongle looks like so they can see the difference between a StarTech dongle and the new style dongle?
Sure, Dave. This is an example of a StarTech dongle. There's also a black version that we have, but they both function in the same way. They have 4 ports on them, and the USB port is right here.
Document cameras are in every building and being used in the elementaries and some of the high schools temporarily as the webcam. To use them, you'll need to connect to the document cameras using a USB A to B cable that we have already connected to the document cameras in the district. We have 2 different kinds of document cameras that will have 2 different setups, and we will show both. In addition, we will show how to connect the document cameras at this time. The examples of our document cameras that we have throughout the district. On this particular model, to use it as a webcam, you simply flip up the head and then that will point the camera at what you want to connect it to. When you connect it to your computer, what you're going to want to do is you want to connect it to the dongle, to the USB port on the dongle, and then connect the dongle to your computer. Or if your computer has a USB port, you connect the USB cable to the computer. Using the Epson document cameras as webcams, they are designed by default to be showing down at the desk. As you can see in the example, you can see test is on the desk, correct. However, if I flip the camera up like I want to use it as a webcam, I'll be upside down. To correct this, I need to launch Easy Interactive Tools, which is located in your Applications folder. When you first launch Epson Interactive Tools, you'll be taken to a whiteboard. You'll need to change this mode from whiteboard to mouse. Once on mouse, you're going to click the toolbox to take you to the interactive tools, then click camera. And once in camera, we need to select the camera that we want to interact with. I need to drop down the drop-down box. I need to choose the Epson camera. As you can see, I'm upside down. In the lower left-hand corner, there's a rotate button. I only need to click it once. It'll flip me around the correct way. And now I can close interactive tools. And now this camera is set correctly for the time until you would switch the camera and flip it back in interactive tools. From now on, this camera is set up as a webcam.
Now that you're using the DocCam as a webcam, there's one important difference to note. When you're trying to, typically you would use the DocCam to present text or a drawing or a piece of paper to the kids in your class through your projector. Because of using it as a webcam and showing that to the remote students, something that it'll do, and you may have noticed it when Dave was showing his screen, it actually flips the text backwards. So if you're using your webcam or your DocCam as a webcam and you want to show text to in-class students and remote students by holding up the text or the book, what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to your computer and open QuickTime Player. And you'll click File, New Movie Recording, and then click, if it's not already showing, click the drop-down arrow next to the little red button, and you'll select the Epson document camera. It's very important to note, you do not have to click the red button at all. It doesn't need to be recorded. What this is doing is the Google Meet or Zoom session is already using the webcam or the DocCam as a webcam, so the kids at home are seeing the image correctly. The QuickTime is then allowing you to project that on your classroom projector, and the kids in class can also see it correctly. So you only need to use this if you're trying to show a book or a math sheet or something like that that you would have typically used the DocCam for. You don't need to open QuickTime if you're trying to present like a YouTube video or a digital book or something like that. This should be very rare for you guys to have to use.
Requests from elementary teachers asking how they can see the remote students on the whiteboard so that the in-class students can interact with them. One way is to move your Google Meet session to the side of your screen so you can still show content in the middle. Another way is to extend your display by going to System Preferences, Displays, Arrangement, and uncheck Mirror Displays. This will create a second desktop that you can drag your Google Meet students to show the entire class on the screen.
Google Meet. Google Meet allows dozens of people to join the same virtual meeting / classroom and speak and share videos with each other from anywhere. So what we're going to go over is we're going to go over how to get and use Google Meet by going to meet.google.com and logging in with your SCASD account. We're going to go over scheduling a Google meeting with Google Calendar, layouts, how to use different layouts to show different windows and different views in Google Meet for you to show your students or show something in Spotlight. We're going to show the settings, how to switch to an external webcam or microphone, how to record a Google meeting, and then we're going to go over some of the upcoming features. But first, I'm going to show you how to get to Google Meet. From Google Chrome, you're simply going to go to meet.google.com. It's going to bring you to the Google Meet splash screen.
Everybody, we are going to go over how to create a Google Meet and get it sent out to your classroom. We're also going to see about adding a recurring event. This way, if you add the recurring event, the link does not change, so students can access it from the same way every single time. So we are going to start by going to meet.google.com. As you can see, I have nothing on my schedule right now. We're going to start a new tab, go to my Apps Cube, and go to my Google Calendar right here. I'm going to click the Create button in the top left corner to start a meeting. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to click the Add Video Conferencing button, and I'm going to click Google Meet. So this is where you see the URL. This is the meeting code or the meeting web address. What you can do is copy that, and then you can send it via email. You can post it into Seesaw, or you can link it into Canvas as well if you'd like to. Right here is where you can change the date and time of the meeting if you would like to have it reoccurring. So if we want to meet weekly on Tuesday at 5 to 6, I can go ahead and put that in there. I've already copied my link. I'm going to save that. And then from there, I can go and post that link into my different forms of communication, Seesaw, or via email, and send it out to all of my students. That way they have the link, and the link does not change because I've made it reoccurring.
So the next thing we're going to talk about with Google Meet is how to change layouts. So if you want to see multiple students or want a spotlight on the student who's talking, you'll scroll down here towards the bottom of the screen. There's 3 dots on the bottom right-hand side. Click those, and the option is Change Layout. You have 3 options. Sidebar is going to put the content or the main person speaking in a larger screen with everyone else smaller. Spotlight only shows who's currently speaking, and tiled is probably your preferred method. That's going to show every student in the call. Currently, it goes up to 16, but they should be releasing an update by the end of August, early September, where it's going to show up to 49 people at a time.
To change your audio and video settings, you will click the 3 dots in the bottom right corner. Go to Settings. And if you have a webcam in your classroom, we are recommending that you change the microphone to the webcam mic. You would leave speakers the same. Video, choose the webcam if you have one. If not, that would be the document camera that you would have plugged in. As far as definition, we recommend the standard definition, which is the default, that will reduce bandwidth across the school. For audio, if you have the document camera and not a webcam in your classroom, we are recommending the internal microphone for better clarity.
All right, so to record a Google Meet, what you'll need to do is go down to the 3 dots in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll click these and click Record Meeting, and it'll ask for consent. When you say accept, it notifies everybody else that the meeting's being recorded. And then in the top left corner, it will show recording when the meeting is recording in progress. When you want to stop the recording, just click the three dots again, click stop recording, and say stop. The nice thing about Google Meet, one of the complaints we heard with Zoom was how long the videos took, the recordings took to process, to upload to YouTube, to share with kids. So what we did is with Google Meet, this does it a lot faster. It's automatically going to email you when the recording is ready. And what that does is it puts the recording in a Google Meet folder called Meet Recordings. And what you can do is you can right click on this folder or this meeting video and say get shareable link. It will give you the link and you can post that in Seesaw. You can post that in email, Canvas, anywhere that you guys want to share that with your students and they can watch the recording. The one thing that we would ask is obviously just don't post that publicly. So Facebook, things like that, just share it through the district's learning management tools like Canvas, Seesaw, email, stuff like that. All right, thank you. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is the upcoming features with Google Meet. We've gotten a lot of questions with us switching from Google Meet to Zoom around, well, does it do hand raising? Does it do breakout rooms? How many students can I see? And we want to talk through that with you guys. Zoom will still be available through March, but what we're seeing with Google Meet is it's improving call quality, so there is less blurriness, less choppiness. Kids at home can stay connected. They're not getting kicked off. It's really beneficial for people that have lower or little bandwidth network connectivity at home. They're able to use Meet a lot more seamlessly. You also don't get kicked from meetings. So those things started us down the road of Meet. But listening to your guys' feedback, the recordings were another increased feature that we wanted to do. And then the other things that are coming in September, what they're doing is they're having the grid view or the tile view. Instead of 16, it's going to show 49 kids at once. So that would cover a whole class. And then it's also integrating with a tool that we're going to cover later, which is the whiteboard called Google Jamboard, so that you can basically have a whiteboard for your remote students to interact with you on. In October, they're going to give us virtual backgrounds, attendance tracking, and the breakout rooms that we've been asking for. And then later this year, we're going to get hand raising and Q&A features for things like polls or interactive questions that you can ask all of your students to help them engage and build that community in your classroom. One other question we're getting very frequently with Google Meet is waiting rooms, and does it have this feature? Because Google Meet is part of our Google domain and licensing, it doesn't actually need waiting rooms the way that Zoom does. So Zoom was allowing anyone to join because we couldn't necessarily authenticate who they were. So for example, Dave could say that he was Evan and jump into the meeting and goof around or disrupt class and do those things, and we wouldn't necessarily know who was doing that. What Google Meet's doing is because it's requiring the students to use their district accounts, it's going to trust and let them in, and then if there's an issue like that, we will be able to know which student did that and help you guys out and work with the building administration as necessary. If it is an external person, so let's say a parent or someone from the community trying to join, it's going to notify the host. So the teacher in the classroom is going to pop a box and ask you if you want to let them in. If you know who it is, if you're having a guest presenter, you can of course say accept, it'll let them in the room. If not, feel free to say deny and it'll kick them and it won't let them join.
Google Jamboard is an online whiteboard. It will soon be integrated with Google Meet. Please think of it as a resource that can be used to create digital whiteboards for both in-school and remote students. This may be used more heavily if we go fully remote and you want to have an interactive whiteboard sessions that you can share with your students. Google Jamboard is easily accessed through the Apps Cube in Google. If you click the Apps Cube and scroll down, you'll see Google Jamboard that you can open up a digital whiteboard. Inside the digital whiteboard, it's fairly simple to use. It has tools on the side and that you can draw on the whiteboard itself. Accessing and using Google Jamboard is very simple. You simply click the Google Apps Cube in the top right-hand corner of the Google home screen. You're going to scroll down until you see Jamboard. Once in Jamboard, you'll see any existing Jamboards that you already have created. I have one created now, but I want to create a new Jamboard. So you want to use the plus symbol in the lower right-hand corner. You click plus. You get a blank Jamboard. In Jamboard, you have a series of tools. At the top, you have your pen tool that if you click on, you have a pen tool, you have a marker, you'll have a highlighter, and you have a brush. And then you have these basic colors that you can choose in between. So if I want to write something with the pen tool, I can write using my trackpad to write whatever I would want to write on the screen. If I want to erase this, I can click the eraser, which is the next tool down, and erase whatever I've put up on the screen. If you like using sticky notes, or if you want to add sticky notes to your Jamboard, you click the sticky note tool. You type in what you'd like to put on a sticky note, and it adds it to the screen. You can move this around anywhere you want. And if you see on the sticky note or any objects that you would add, you have some basic tools. You have ones that can allow you to stretch it out, or if you want to rotate it, or if you want to get rid of it, you'll have the top right-hand corner, which is 3 dots. I can delete. If I wanted to add an image to my Jamboard, I simply click the Add Image, and I have some different options. If I have an image that's on my screen, on my computer, I can drag and drop it here, and that would upload it to your Jamboard. Or if I just simply want to do an image search, I could select the image I want, and that adds that image to my Jamboard. Circle is a circle. Text is if I want to add text to my Jamboard. And the final tool at the bottom is a laser. So if you click laser, it's just basically like a laser pointer. Say if I wanted to circle this, I could circle it, and like I said, it's just a laser pointer. It just disappears. If I want to clear it all, I can hit clear frame. It takes me back to a blank Jamboard. Background has several different backgrounds. The default one is white, but it has polka dots, lines that you could use for writing, grids if you're in math, gray grid, blue, and black. Again, clear frame, empty it, I can go back to white. If I wanted to add, I have multiple windows as well. So if I wanted to add more Jamboards, I could add another Jamboard. So I'd have 1 and 2, 3, however many I'd want. And if I wanted to share the Jamboard, especially whenever we go remote, so if I was to share this, with Evan, I send him an invitation, Evan would be able to open the Jamboard and he could edit the Jamboard as well. And that's Google Jamboard. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them now.
All right, everybody. Right now, we're going to show you GoGuardian. And what is GoGuardian? It is an online tool available to teachers this year that will allow them to interact with their students on a higher level and keep them on task and document activity for future reference. It allows teachers to send websites to students as well as close tabs and view student screens to support remote assistance if a student gets stuck and needs help. Right now, we're going to show you how to use GoGuardian.
All right, everybody, this is GoGuardian. You'll be able to get to this from your Clever page. So you'll log into Clever, and it's going to be under Teacher Resources, and you'll click that. It'll take you to this site here. What you'll see is classrooms. It's going to show you all of the classrooms that you guys would have scheduled to you in eSchool, so everything that shows up in TAC. I obviously don't have one, so I made a test class here to walk through this with you. So I'll click that, and I'm going to say Start Session. So you would start the session at the beginning of your class that you want to use GoGuardian for. This tool is going to be really helpful if we go remote. We heard some feedback during the emergency remote time that teachers were trying to help students who were struggling or couldn't figure out which site they should be on or which content they're looking at. And when they're not in front of you or you can't interact directly with them, it's really hard to help them if you can't see what they're seeing. The same thing with the physical distancing in the classrooms. This tool could be used as a way for you to remotely be able to interact with those students and help them and show them where they need to go or keep them on task if you need to. So Tommy here, his loaded up. He's one of the students in my class. I can see that he's on YouTube right now. So if I want to, I can jump in here and let's say I can see obviously what he's on. So let's say he was struggling, he couldn't find the right video to watch if we're doing a lesson or something like that. I can see where he's at, let him know in the chat if he needs to click the third video. And send that, and that'll let him know which video to click. Or another option, if you wanted to, let's say you were sending all of the students to one specific page. You could click all of the students and say, hey, I want to open this tab for all my students, and you'll see it took them right to scasd.org. So if you made a Google Doc or a Google slideshow or something like that that you want to share with all of your students at one time, you can send this out to them using the Open New tab. The other thing, let's say you're giving a lesson at the front of the class or and the students aren't paying attention, they're on YouTube or something like Tommy just was. You can lock the device and have it locked while you're giving the lesson, showing the video, test instructions, whatever you guys are doing. And then once you're ready for them to continue working, you can unlock the device for them. Okay. And the one other thing, once you're done, you can end the session right here. And what that will do is it'll show you just a high-level overview of what Tommy was working on while he was in your class that day. So you can see if we were to go remote, this could be useful to see which students were on task, if a student was distracted, to help you maybe engage with them more and make sure that they're learning and engaged in the classroom. Or if they're struggling, you can use this as a remote assist tool to jump in and help them and get them back in with the rest of the class.
This year we've changed printing a little bit here at SCASDA. Last year we had everybody printing to the SCASDA print release, which is the print release stations, where you would print the job and then you would go to a release station and you would release the job. What we found was that's a single point of contact, so what we've changed is now that you print directly to the printers. But in order to do this, you'll need to add the printers to your computer. So to do that, you'll simply click on the apple in the top left-hand corner and then go to System Preferences. So once in System Preferences, you're going to click on Printers and Scanners. You're going to click the plus icon to add a printer. You're going to scroll all the way down through the list, and you're going to look for the printers that say VX Latte. And now you're going to need to match up your building. I'm at the high school, so I'm going to scroll down to VX Latte, type in SCAHS. And if I wanted to print here on the second floor, the black and white printer at the end of the plot, I would click the A2 black and white printer. And now I just simply need to choose a driver. So I drop down to choose a driver and I click generic PostScript and click the add button. Once the printer is added, I can simply print anything that I want to print to this, and it will directly print out to the printer. If I do want to use the security printers, what I would need to do is I would need to print to the SCASDA print release and go to the library and release the job from the library in your particular building. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them now.